Dutch saw business and they want to
And they
take,
took every
yeah,
opportunity.
because at every turn they just want to, sell their product and go move on with life.
Yeah.
Hi guys, and welcome back again to the channel. Today we are going to be checking out a video from the channel Geography
Gig.
Gig, and this is how the Netherlands helped American gain independence and how it cost them. We actually checked out the video and we asked a lot of questions where we saw that, okay, obviously Netherlands have been on the map before the Americans came on
Like,
board.
yes.
That was shocking to us. And we also saw that the Netherlands helped the Americans, and we saw the Netherlands still has influence in the Americans. So today we are going to be checking out just a scratch of our
History.
our curiosity, and let's get right into the video.
This isn't a history channel, but as English explorer Captain John Smith once wrote, geography without history seemeth a carcass without motion.
Oh,
But
wow.
before I get into the story I'm about to tell, if you are new to the channel, welcome. On this channel, I talk about a variety of geography-related topics on whatever I'm interested in at the moment.
Okay.
I have quite a few history videos planned for this summer, such as What's Left of the Dutch in New York City, a lot of old map videos,
we
and a
had
few
that
on
too.
America's attempts at exterminating their wildlife. So if these are topics that interest you as well, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell if you want to get notifications on new uploads. Now let's go ahead and get started. If you know more than a little about the American Revolution, you know that France played an important role in America's victory for independence by providing money, men, and material. But there is
Wow.
another lesser-known contributor to the United States victory, the Netherlands. Its official name at the time was the Republic.
It's so crazy that when we think of the U.S. Evolution, the U.S. Democracy,
Independence.
independence, we really think of other countries coming to help. To be honest, prior to this time, I always thought that the U.S. did everything
On
on
their
their own.
own.
But due to more video and more research, I got to understand they had other influence and other help.
Support. Yeah.
And wow.
Republic of the Seven United Netherlands, also commonly known as the Dutch Republic. This is
Wow.
the predecessor state of modern-day Netherlands, though at the time this also included parts of modern-day Belgium. Now, the Netherlands wasn't officially an ally of the United States, nor did they support the United States with soldiers, both of which probably contributes to why they are often forgotten.
Oh.
Great Britain actually saw the Netherlands as an ally of theirs at the beginning of the revolution, but the Netherlands officially declared themselves neutral in the war. What the Netherlands was more interested in than a US victory was making money. And they weren't too concerned with who they were making the money from.
Okay.
But by the end of the war, the United States and the Dutch Republic would have a common enemy. This is how the Dutch would support the war effort: trade. Before I go further, let me first provide some context. At the time of the American Revolution, though slowly declining in power by the 18th century, the Netherlands was a global leader in trade, controlling territories across the globe and a worldwide network of seafaring trade routes. Historians and economists debate on what exactly drove this small nation of only about 16,000 square miles or 42,000 square kilometers to become such a power.
Wow.
But historically, the Netherlands have accepted a high number of immigrants, which often brought with them skills and capital that could be reinvested.
I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be from coming. This question is not coming from a racial stand or point. I know there's a video I saw, and I tend to ask this question: are they black Dutch people? Because they say they have a lot of immigrants, and I really want to know again, were the Netherlands part of, were they involved during the whole
Slave
slavery and
trade and
everything?
everything. Yeah.
And I think most especially, are they black Dutch person, or a originated Dutch family? I want to know, please. It's not racial or anything. It's just curiosity, please.
The country's inhabitants have also historically had a hard work ethic that emphasizes efficiency, which many historians say is rooted in its Calvinist past. But its rise to becoming a great seafaring nation is also rooted in the Netherlands' physical geography. This is a coastal country, lies extremely low in elevation, and is essentially one giant river delta, which has made it prone to flooding.
Yeah,
I actually made a whole video on how the Dutch have adapted to its geography. If you want to check that out, I've left a link in the comments below. Water and the terrain shaped by it is why the country rides bikes, grows tulips, and has hundreds of windmills.
Wow.
But water didn't just shape culture within its mainland borders. The physical geography, combined with the aforementioned cultural characteristics of the Netherlands, turned the Dutch into expert and efficient shipbuilders, and motivated its population to seek trade opportunities across the globe. And one of those places was the 13 colonies. Tensions began rising in the American colonies following the French and Indian War in 1763. The British launched a series of acts that raised taxes on the colonists in order to pay for the war, because the British felt that the colonists caused the war, so they should provide payment for the protection that Great Britain had provided. The colonists weren't happy about it. Protests erupted, and in 1770, British soldiers opened fire on a mob of angry colonists, killing at least 5 men and wounding several more, in what is known as the Boston Massacre.
Oh, wow.
Then in December of 1773, a band of Bostonians, dressed as Mohawk Indians, in protest on the taxation, boarded British ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. The event is known as the Boston Tea Party. The British Parliament responded with what the colonists referred to as the Intolerable Acts. This brought Massachusetts under full control of the British government, and allowed British loyalists in the colony to be tried in Great Britain. George Washington called this the Murder Act, because he said it allowed British officials to harass colonists and then flee to Great Britain to escape justice. The act also allowed British soldiers to be housed wherever necessary, including private homes.
What?
Though some historians say the act only meant unoccupied buildings. Great Britain had attempted to isolate extremists in Massachusetts with these acts, but it backfired, and other colonies pledged to support Massachusetts if there was an attack by the British. The colonists prepared for war. The British, for obvious reasons, refused to sell arms and ammunition to the American colonists, and they banned other countries from doing so as well. In 1774, Britain declared the export of war materials to the colonies to be illegal, and therefore subject to search and seizure. And
Damn, the British actually had the final say in the
Back
world
then.
ruling. I'm so sorry. I'm going to deviate just a bit, but looking at the Great Britain now, I'm just thinking what actually went wrong because, man, these people were on point. They were on power.
continue
They
to
are in
trade
for
wherever
business.
and whenever possible.
Wow.
The British Lieutenant Governor of New York warned London in November of 1774 that contraband between this place and Holland prevails to an enormous degree. Actions must be taken against the smugglers, but it would not be easy. The vessels from Holland or St. Eustatia do not come into this port, but in the numerous bays and creeks that our coasts and rivers furnish, on which the contraband is sent up through small boats. The British were furious that the Dutch continued to ignore the ban.
Wow.
They then made a strong request to the Netherlands to stop all war materials from being shipped to the American colonies. Penalties included confiscation of materials, large fines, and the confiscation of ships if not paid.
Wow.
Conscious of not being able to go head-to-head with the British Navy, the British had 100 warships compared to the Netherlands' 11. The government of the Netherlands officially decided to comply. But the Dutch merchant class wasn't happy with their government's decision, and they just continued to ignore the British request. So the British then responded with more search and seizures around St. Eustatius, the hub for this arms and ammunition trade. Once the war had officially begun with the battles of Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, the Dutch ammunition trade to the Americans got so bad that King George III in January 1776 ordered more warships on duty around the Caribbean. He stated, "Every intelligence confirms that principally St. Eustatius, but also all the other islands, are to furnish the Americans with gunpowder this winter." But many of the Dutch traders continued to find ways to evade the British. More obstacles arose with the defeat of the Americans at Long Island, which left America completely without the ports of New York and later Philadelphia. Though the two largest ports were occupied by the British, the Dutch were again not a group to give up on this lucrative trade.
Wow.
And they continued smuggling.
To be honest, I just feel like the Dutch saw business and they want
And
to
they
take
took every
yeah,
opportunity.
because at every turn they just want to, sell their product and go move on with life.
Yeah.
And they don't care the repercussion. Even when the government said don't do it, they are still like angry that why will you tell us not to do this?
That's like $1 billion
Deal.
deal.
They love business.
Oh.
In 1776, the Dutch Republic made a half-hearted effort to comply with the continued requests from the British. They replaced St. Eustatius governor with a new man, named Johannes de Graaf. After the British complained that his predecessor was allowing merchants to continue to ship
Oh,
war
no
materials
wonder.
to the Americans. But on the 16th of November, 1776, the American Navy ship USS Andrew Doria, with the American Declaration of Independence on board, arrived in St. Eustatius. Its
Ooh.
captain fired a salute to the Dutch flag on Port Orange.
Wow.
The governor, Johannes de Graaf, decided to answer the salute with 11 gunshots. And so the United States of America were for the first time recognized as a nation by another. So now, not only were the Dutch preventing the Americans
So
from
they're the
running out of
first to
ammunition,
acknowledge
allowing
them.
Them as a
revolution to
nation.
continue,
Wow.
they had now recognized the British colony as a sovereign nation. On top of this, the Netherlands was actually supposed to have provided 6,000 troops to the British for the war, as was the terms of a past treaty. In 1778, when France was persuaded to join in the fight against the British, the Dutch traded with them as well. But with the French, they traded mostly naval stores. The
Wow.
French needed supplies for their naval construction, but were unable to obtain them themselves due to the blockade of the Royal Navy. So they turned to the Dutch, who were privileged by a concession obtained after their victory in the Second Anglo-Dutch War, known as the principle of free ship, free goods, which was enshrined in the Anglo-Dutch Commercial Treaty of 1668. According to the treaty, naval stores were now considered contraband, as long as the Dutch remained neutral, which the Dutch claimed they were. But of course, the British just declared naval stores illegal and started arresting Dutch ships.
Hell.
As always, Dutch merchants continued to obey the British. The Dutch-British relationship became more hostile on the 31st of December 1779, when the two countries had a brief naval engagement. The British wished to inspect Dutch ships for what they considered contraband destined for France. The Dutch initially refused and threatened the British with force, before finally backing down. The event caused the Dutch to pursue joining the League of Armed Neutrality, which was an alliance of European naval powers which was intended to protect neutral shipping against the Royal Navy's wartime policy of unlimited searches. The British government saw this move as a threat, and it could potentially embroil Great Britain in a war with its other members, Russia, Sweden, and Denmark-Norway. They had finally had enough. Great Britain officially declared war on the Dutch Republic, and they began attacking their former allies' colonial economic interests.
I didn't know there was
I
a
didn't
war
know there was
between
a
them.
time. One thing with the British history I'm getting to understand is that I thought the British has been neutral through all the war, and I thought they've never been to any form of
From
war. But day in, day out, I'm learning that these guys are fighters as well. Man,
they declared war on their ally.
that's ruthless.
Including St. Eustatius, in what was known as the Fourth Anglo-Dutch War. One
Wow.
head-to-head naval battle did take place, the Battle of Dogger Bank. Both sides took hundreds of casualties. Tactically, the battle was a draw, but it was a strategic victory for the British. The Dutch did not have the naval strength to continue going head-to-head with the British. This allowed the British to
Obviously,
continue
the
their
one they
oppression
showed
against the
100 to
Dutch
10
merchants.
ships.
Though the Dutch colonial empire had already been slowly declining, this settled it, and cemented Great Britain as the new leading commercial power. Though the Netherlands' economic self-interest were a large motivator for the support of the American Revolution, Dutch citizens, probably more so than the Dutch government, became more sympathetic to the American cause as the war progressed. Both countries were being bullied by the same global power. And
Yeah,
some
the enemy
sympathy
of my
may have come
enemy.
from the Netherlands having fought for their own independence in the 16th and 17th centuries. Whatever the motivation was, the United States will always be grateful for their support.
Yeah.
Historian Barbara Tugman claims that it's possible that the American Revolution would not have survived without the Dutch ignoring the ban on war materials
Yeah.
and successfully evading the British.
Because
On
war
February 27,
war is one with weapons.
1939,
Yeah.
President Franklin D. Roosevelt presented a plaque to St. Eustatius. Mounted on the flagpole inside Fort Orange, it reads, "In commemoration of the salute to the flag of the United States, fired in this fort on 16 November 1776, by order of Johannes de Graaf, Governor of St. Eustatius, in reply to a national gun salute fired by the U.S. brig of war Andrew Doria. Here the sovereignty of the United States was first formally acknowledged to a national vessel by a foreign official." If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more geography videos. Thank you for watching.
This is actually insane, man.
Wow.
History is so deep. Sometimes we get lost in some certain things. And the way we perceive things now, if you don't know history, it will confuse you.
Yeah.
Netherlands was the first nation to recognize the United States.
When they shot the 11 gun shots in the air.
Do you understand? And, look at facts, right? If they did not ignore that war ban, the US would not have gotten the weapons they needed.
Yeah, because what's war
Because every other
without...
person complied with that ban.
Yeah. But the Dutch having the strong
Do you
business
understand?
mindset, they said
The
that...
government even complied.
And I felt like the Dutch felt like, who are the British to tell us what to do
What?
and how to go about our business? Yeah. Because the British were actually like very untouchable, very powerful.
and that is what actually brought about the
Down
I won't say downfall, but like their reduction in
in power,
power.
yeah.
Because oppression can only go so far,
But for not so long
but not for so long. Because the more you oppress people, the more they fight
back.
back.
And the more they become, they know their power.
Exactly.
And the more they discover themselves of who they are.
Precisely.
Because you can imagine the Dutch as then going to war with the British.
Britain.
Even if they
And
don't
they
have,
even ended the war on a draw. Yes, they might say it's a strategic win for the Britain because the Netherlands could not continue that war. But for them to go head to head with a great power as Britain back then,
yeah,
and the war ended in a draw,
draw,
is a big victory for the Netherlands.
yeah.
No matter how you want, no matter the perspective you want to look at it from, it's just like Goliath and David. One has a higher strength.
Why the other is
Do you
feeble
understand? So if that match ended in a draw, it means that the feeble one.
is the stronger word.
Do you
Because if they
understand?
have such ammunition in their disposal, they are going to be
Exactly.
obviously far more victorious. This is crazy, man. The history is deep, because in the previous video that prompted us in checking out this one, they said the Netherlands was the first country to recognize American as a country on
Sovereign
its own.
nation, yeah.
Yeah, and they actually helped the Americans during the revolution and all. So that actually prompted us in checking more and discovering more. And this is actually very informative, and I love the video. The link is going to be down there in the description box. Do well to like, subscribe, and we are going to see you guys later. Bye.